Hello everyone, my name is George Farmer, also known as the Aquascaper, and I'm going to show you how I maintain my NA, also known as Aquavaz 65cm aquarium. I do this type of maintenance once a week. I've recently been away on holiday for 7 days and it hasn't received any maintenance whatsoever. And I'm quite pleased actually how it's looking. I was expecting to come back to some algae and various dramas, but thankfully it's looking okay. So without further ado, we'll go through the process of how I maintain the tank. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn off the filter and the CO2. So go into the cabinet, simply switch the filter off from the extension lead there, and then to turn the CO2 off I'll just unplug the solenoid like so. Next I'll just take you through my maintenance toolkit. So we've got on the table here toothbrushes, a hard and a soft. The soft is for cleaning the glass and the hard one is for cleaning the rocks and the wood. We've got a net for netting off any plant cuttings. We've got 2 pairs of small self-sprung scissors, a curved pair and a straight pair. We've got a long pair of straight scissors, a long pair of curved scissors, a medium-sized pair of curved tweezers, a long pair of curved tweezers, some straight tweezers, and a spoon. The spoon, what I normally do with a spoon is just wave this amongst the plants near the substrate. That lifts off any detritus and organic waste from the substrate, and then I siphon that off as part of the water change. And this is my beautiful UCAPS toolkit holder. And here we have my special red colander, which I use for water changes for when I put the fresh water in. And here we've got some buckets. We've got 10 litre bucket, and then we've got 2 25 litre buckets there. So the 10 litre bucket is for putting fresh water in, and the 2 25 litre buckets are for taking old water out of the tank. And then moving over here, we've got 2 different types of siphoning hose. We've got a large diameter hose for taking water out rapidly, and then we've got a smaller diameter for if I want to take the water out a bit more carefully. And then loads and loads of old towels which I use for drying up any spillages, etc. So moving back onto the tank, the first job I'm going to do is take a little bit of water out, and this allows me to get in there with my hands without fear of any spillages over the top of the tank. So I'm just going to siphon out about 10-15 litres of water. Okay, that's plenty. The next job is to remove the glass filter inlet and outlet, the lily pipe and the inlet there on the right hand side of the tank. I put a bucket in position just below it so I won't get any spillages hopefully. So just simply lift the outlet out and then carefully remove the outlet there. Just drain the hose like so, and then carefully place your glass lily pipe down. Be careful not to stand on it obviously. This job's a little bit more tricky. It's the inlet, and what's going to happen is as soon as I remove the hose it's going to try and siphon. So I've got a bucket just directly underneath that to catch any water. So I literally just carefully undo the hose like so, and then rapidly and carefully lift out like so. And there you can see the inlet and outlet are a little bit dirty, so I'll clean them later on and then refit them. Be careful not to break them because they are really fragile. I think these have lasted me over a year now, which is a really good record for me. I tend to break these quite a lot. So the next job is to actually remove the hose from the cabinet and the filter. So we'll go inside the cabinet. I've already switched the filter flow off there, and then we simply, so it's Blue Valve G filter, really easy to maintain. Literally just pull that lever there, this unclips like so, hopefully, there we go. We need to disconnect the CO2, I've got an inline diffuser here, so we need to disconnect that. So to do that, I'm literally just going to undo the connection on the actual diffuser. Like so, there's a little bit of back pressure there, you can probably hear. And then being careful not to spill too much water out of the hose. I've got the bucket underneath there on the right hand side. You can hopefully pull these out carefully. And you can see there probably that the hose is quite dirty. I like to clean the hose probably once every 2 weeks. You can see the brown stuff, all the dirt and the waste organic matter is collected. By cleaning it regularly, you maintain good flow, good levels of circulation, and that in turn will help reduce the risk of algae. So I'll give them a good clean along with my lily pipes later. And it has got some water in there, so I'll just dip that out into the bucket. You can see the inline diffuser there, so I'll give that a good clean with a hose brush as well, and then carefully refit it all later on. So moving back into the tank now, first job I'm going to do is give the glass a good clean, paying particular attention to the corners of the tank where the algae can build up on the silicone work, and also the hard water deposits around the top of the glass there, which you might be able to see in the video. I've got two toothbrushes as I showed you earlier, soft and a hard. This is the softer one, so hopefully not scratch the glass. I've got a few scratches on here. That's kind of inevitable really, I think, unless you're really ultra careful. Pay attention to the substrate line as well, where algae tends to collect. I did get some cyanobacteria build up. You might be able to see some there actually. It's like a blue-green colour. In my experience, cyanobacteria or blue-green algae or slime algae always originates in the substrate. So a good tip is to use a credit card, slide that in between the gravel and the glass, and that will hopefully stop it from transferring into the main water column. Once you get cyanobacteria on your plants, etc., it can be quite hard to remove. So as with any type of maintenance, prevention is better than cure. I'll just show you that now, what I do with the credit card. So simply just slot it in between there. So it's really important to do all your substrate maintenance, your glass cleaning, everything before your water change, because what will happen is as I'm cleaning around the tank and dislodging plants and disturbing the substrate, you can probably see there's some waste organic matter just floating around there. Once I've done the water change, obviously that's going to hopefully all be cleared up. I'm probably going to change around about 50% of the water, which is what I do every week. And you can just see an example of there. If I wave that around, you can see a lot of the waste organic matter just coming off the substrate there. So when I do the water change, I'll do that just before the water change, and it will hopefully siphon as much of it as I can. So once I've cleaned the glass, I've done the front, the rear, left and the right, and paid, as I said, paid particular attention to the corners and near the top where the hard water deposits tend to collect if you do have hard water. Now I'm going to use a different brush, the harder brush, to clean the rocks and the wood. The rock, there's really like a tough green algae on the rocks, which is really hard to remove. I think it actually adds this kind of sense of like a naturalistic appearance. So I'm not too bothered about having ultra clean rocks. It does make it look a little bit more natural if they do have a little bit of algae on them. It's not nuisance algae, you know, it's not like blackbeard algae or blackbrush algae or staghorn algae. You know, it's quite an attractive algae really, and there's bits of green algae on the wood as well, which is okay. I did have a little bit of a staghorn algae problem. There's still remnants of it on some of the crip leaves. It's all dying off now, thankfully. So just by rubbing the leaves, it tends to come off, and then I can, as it comes off, I literally, you know, I pay attention to siphoning the relevant areas of the tank. So just give the wood a bit of a clean. Even if it looks clean, you give it a bit of a brush, and it helps to prevent any nuisance algae build up. Like I say, prevention is better than cure. It only takes a few minutes. It's quite therapeutic. I do enjoy the maintenance side of things. Normally I'd have some drum and bass music on in the background, maybe a glass of wine as well. But for now, I'm just literally paying attention to the maintenance. You know, tank maintenance is really important if you want a nice looking tank. Little and often is best. Better to better to do little and often rather than wait for big problems to occur. So you know, I'll probably spend about an hour on this tank right now, and then I'll get a really good sense of satisfaction when I've finished, so I can sit down, sit opposite the tank and just enjoy it, feed the fish. It's just a really nice process. Next job is to give it a bit of a prune. So if there's any leaves that are covered in algae that are tough to remove the algae from, then I'll just literally get rid of that leaf. I mean, there's so much planting in there, losing a few leaves here and there isn't a problem. So here's one here. The end is accidental. I think I accidentally cut the end off that, so I'll get rid of that leaf. And to do that, you can either use scissors, or I'll literally just go near the rhizome, as near to the rhizome as I can, and then just pull it out. There's no problem. And then we just put that in the bucket and then just repeat the process. So it's getting quite dense around here, so I could probably do with thinning it out a little bit. There's a leaf there which has got quite a bit of old remnants of staghorn algae on there, so get rid of that one. And then just repeat the process, as I say. Same with the Anubias, all the crypts. We've got a trident fern here. Any ugly leaves, I just prune them off the same way. The Rotala here, that's still growing back from the first prune I've given it, so I'll let that grow. I won't do anything with the Rotala today. So yeah, that's it really. Just give all the leaves a nice stroke. They like a little bit of care and attention. Get rid of any. It helps to get rid of any sort of collected waste organic matter, detritus, and then helps prevent algae build-up. Same with the crypt balanci in the background. Any particularly bad leaves, basically any leaves that don't look perfect, you know, you can get rid of. Getting rid of, you know, pruning plants, it helps generate new growth. So don't be shy. If you don't like the look of a leaf, just get rid of it. That's my motto. So now I've cleaned the glass, I've pruned the plants. Next job is to give the substrate a little bit of a clean, so I'll wave my hand or use my special spoon just to dislodge any detritus, and you should hopefully be able to see quite a lot of the muck just lifted off there. And then once that's in the water column, you can do it around the whole tank, or you can use your fingers, you can use a spoon, you can use a credit card, anything you like really. And the aim is obviously to lift as much organic waste as possible. There we go. Give the gravel a bit of a rub to help lift any excess waste up. And you can see probably the water's getting quite cloudy now, which is what we want. We want to get rid of as much of that waste as possible as part of the water change. There's actually more than anticipated today. Not sure why. The fish haven't been fed much. As I say, I've been on holiday, so pretty gross really, but it's all part of the maintenance process, all part of preventing algae and helping the tank look as attractive as possible. So don't be shy, give it a good old wave. You can even siphon a small layer of the substrate up if you wanted to, just to help it keep really clean. So now I'm just going to use my smaller hose, and I can pay particular attention to near the substrate where the stuff tends to collect. Because it is so mucky, I'm probably going to do 70 60, 70, maybe even 80% water change. So I've got two 25 litre buckets, so that gives me 50 litres. It's a 100 litre tank, well around about 100 litres, maybe a bit less after displacement. So these two buckets is a 50% water change or thereabouts. So I'll probably do 3 buckets altogether. So as you can see, I've done probably about 70 or 80% water change there. The water was really mucky, so it's important to get rid of quite a lot of it, otherwise you will end up with algae issues. Before I replace the water, it's important to make sure the plants that are exposed to the air don't dry out too much, especially the Java fern. That tends to die off really quickly if it dries out. So I've got a mister here, which I'll just give it a quick spray, just to make sure they don't dry out. And now it's time to refill with fresh water. So first job is to put my special red colander in place. So I'll just balance it over the top like so. And I've got 10 litres of fresh water here, dechlorinated as well. And then we just pour that in. You can pour it in quite quickly because of the colander, and it won't disturb the substrate. And then we just repeat that process. So that's probably going to do about six buckets, I'd say. And just the last bit of water there. I don't put it right to the top because if I want to get my hands in there to do any quick bits of maintenance, then it'll overspill. So I'll leave about a centimetre from the top, and then remove my special red colander. You can see some of the plants have become entangled with each other because of the big water change. So I can just go in there with my hands and put them back in position. Once the filter's up and running as well, that will help make everything look fine. There we go, there's a nice bit of old staghorn algae there, which has died off thankfully. I've been deliberately overdosing a little bit of liquid carbon to help eradicate the staghorn, which has worked quite well. And there we go, fresh water in. There's a few floating bits of plant matter, so I can simply net them off really simply, like so. And the next step is to clean the hoses, clean the glassware and refit it. Also I'm going to change the carbon in the external filter as well. I change that normally about every 3 or 4 weeks. The carbon is just to help the water look really crystal clear. It does remove organic matter as well, so arguably it could help prevent algae. There we go, and there's some crip leaves that need just a bit of adjustment there. Let's give the glass a bit of a wipe from the spilt water. And obviously once the filter's up and running, that will look, after a while, it'll look really crystal clear. I mean, it looks quite clear now obviously because of the large water change, but especially with the new carbon it'll be crystal clear, and that's the idea, you know, like with low iron glass as well. The idea is to have almost like a floating column of water. Your eyes are drawn to the aquascape and not the equipment, and that's why I like to use glassware as well. So I've cleaned the glassware and the filter hosing using my hose brush here. It's got a large and a small diameter brush there. So as you can see, the glassware is nice and shiny. I do like clean glass, and the hose is nice and clean. And I've used the hose brush as well on the inside of the CO2 inline diffuser there. And I've also cleaned the inside of the filter manifold there. It's really important to keep these things clean because it's surprising how much flow is restricted by any dirt and waste organic matter that collects on the inside of the hoses, etc. So I'll now fit these again to the aquarium, and then we can set the filter running. So now I'm going to clean the Fluve Algae pre-filter with a special brush. I'll just do that in running water in the sink in the kitchen. Because it's a pre-filter, not biological media, you can clean that with fresh running tap water. And I'm also going to replace the carbon in the chemical cartridge there. And there we have it, guys. The aquarium has now been maintained. It's looking really nice and clean. Little bit of cloudiness from starting the filter up, but that'll clear within an hour or so. Fish seem really happy. Plants are looking great. It's nice and clean, and now I can just sit back and enjoy my aquascape. So I hope you like what you've seen, guys. If you do, please like it and share with your friends. Keep on scaping. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye.